What needs to change the price of cement lower? What your opinion as an analyst, what do you think needs to change so that cement prices change lower, even though Lafarge, Dangote Cement, the rest won't like that part of argument?
One aspect that needs to change is a major cost input, that's power. Diesel, which is the alternative to power, electric power generation from the grid, is already at about 190 naira per liter, which is very high. So think about a producer and the costs that they have in mind. If they're not using power generation is actually very low, and they have to switch to use of diesel. Even as much as if you forget, the actual production of it, even transporting, some of these materials from the production sites to where it's actually going to be sold, it's actually expensive. You use diesel trucks to, transport some of these materials. So those cost inputs are significant when it comes to determining.
Transportation is still a major because the roads are in a state, I don't want to use the words in my head to describe the state of the roads.
Yes.
I would just say they're bad.
Yes, they're extremely bad. And they're working on it. We've seen, the roads, Lekki-Epe Expressway has actually improved compared to where it was, like I remember 2 years ago, it was in a chaos state. And it has...
That's the word chaos is what describes where I live in Lagos. Yeah. But don't ask me where. But you guys on the island are not, the roads are looking better.
Yes.
Then they need to move to those of us who live uptown so that we can reduce the chaos. Yesterday, about 3.5 hours on the road. Just to get home because of the chaos on the road, because the roads are just bad. At some areas, just a very short distance and of very few meters, and it takes an hour plus just to...
Even time lost, making money, taking at a point where you move the goods from point A to point B, there's also time which is
So moving cement from locations by marketers, by distributors...
And it's a heavy product.
Yes, it's heavy product. It's not something you drive like a car.
Exactly. So it plays into, the cost aspect of it. Time is money, they factor in all this in, even though at some point it seems like it's improved, the fact that they're actually, reducing, they can afford to reduce prices and still make, their margins. But at some point we should actually see, declines in, Lafarge actually acquired, Unichem, which was owned by flour mills and all that. So you're seeing changes within that, sector. Dangote is the major player, owns about 60% of the cement industry, also making moves. Lafarge, Boa Group, like I said, we've seen that they're actually making moves to expand their capacity. And once they do that, we should actually see.
And Dangote is moving to South Africa, bidding for I think the Shefaco Cement.
Yes,
the
exactly.
the
so those are the signs showing you that at some point, maybe not 1,000 naira per bag, but we should see...
Not my 1,000 naira.
Not your 1,000 naira. Because if that happens, I don't know how
what price do you have in your head?
Well,
what do you think is appropriate price for a bag of cement?
An appropriate price would be somewhere between 1,800 to 2,000. That's what I think would be an appropriate
You're not likely going to get a handshake at the end of this conversation. I plan to give you a handshake, but now that you've just gone so far from me in terms of price, I don't think I want a handshake with you because 1,800 looks still on the high side. As far as I am concerned, as my portfolio is concerned, 1,800, because all the costs, so Nigerian government is borrowing more, and we're looking to another $5.5 billion US in overnight news that the debt office looks to raise within the next 100 days. Or the final 100 days of 2017, and the government looks at it as going to fund capital projects. Do you think this should come together, one, to help the cement makers, like cement to Dangote, to make more money, and perhaps ease the problem and the costs on the rest of us who are consumers?
Yes, so borrowing now is good in the short term, but in the long term, when it's time to pay back, we actually face the consequences. But borrowing for capital projects is great for the cement industry because, like I mentioned, the demand for the use of cement and other construction materials would increase. It's also going to employ more labor, within the system, which is great for unemployment rates. And the fact that the government is doing now is not surprising because, we're entering the electoral cycle again. So they're trying to make sure that whatever they had in plan, from the beginning of 2017, they can actually achieve that before the year runs
before
out.
They go to the campaign trail
exactly.
And ask Nigerians to go to the poll once again. They've got to show something. for something.
Yeah.
But you think, on the other side, the side that concerns consumers is that, do you think all this put together have some potentials at reducing what you call consumer spending on items such as cement and a few other components of housing and other constructions? Remember, communities also tar roads. We do drainages and a few things at the local level, at the community level, landlord association, whatever. So that's part of our cost of running things for ourselves.
Yeah, so in any case, it's an indirect, the effects, the positive effects come indirectly. You know, if we invest more in the capital aspects of things, we borrow more, invest more in that, which in turn would affect, you know, positively the cement industry, which in turn would also feed into, so it's like a multiplier effect, a positive multiplier effect, which would definitely, so when you hear of good news within the government increasing borrowing and all that, it means more funds are flowing within the economy, or that's what exactly it should mean.
So we shouldn't be too upset
with
this borrowing, because I know this morning a lot of folks are scratching their head. By the end of this year, if all go well, we'll be looking at about $22 billion in total external loans by the government.
Yes, yeah. The only crucial aspect of it is payback period and, you know, the ability to pay back at, you know, serious or good rates, which would, you know, not really hamper the future of, you know, the Nigerian economy.
Payback time.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much. But I've just rescinded my decision. You still get a handshake on how you conclude. I still don't agree with you on the 1,800.